Okay, page in the middle, you jump from one thing to another. Now in the middle of discussing what's because it says that started saying that the spheres of Atzilus, the spheres above Atzilus are Midas Atzmi. The sky was Midas Atzmi. Midas Atzmi, when he said Chesed, Gam L'Sheino, and Gvura, it's also Chut Asayr. So we'll like 6 lines on the top of the page. The higher the early key is, the more there's more digduk. Digduk means the Irish is more medagdik, more judgmental, evidita. Kamoy b'yamim aneroim Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippur. Yom Rosh Hashanah the ksiv chos avayas zoya kodshoy. Pasuk says chos avayas zoya kodshoy. The Irish revealed is holy arm. So it says now. Zoya, I think Zoya in this context means the left hand, which is the hand of left, which is it says in Pasuk, Nid B'Hashem b'Yimina or b'Zoya Kodesh. Yimina is the right hand, the Zoya I think is the left hand. So Zoya is Din. That's Gvura. Left is Gvura. Oh, Chos Vayser Kodesh Koya Al Yom Shanal. The days of the Yom Neroim, Rosh Yom Kippur, that's a time Chos Vayser Kodesh, the means the dinim. It's Yemei Adin. That's why it's called Yom Neroim. This is why these days, these 10 days, you have to be much more careful. You know, it says that even people eat pas palta all year, but in Sesame Tshuva, you should medakdik it only pas Yisrael. That's one of the dogmas. But so we see here how Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is the time which is I think that's also true, but there's the time that there's the Gvura, the Etzema Gvura. לכן צריכים לעשות את זה. זהו מה שגם הצדיקים הגדולים אמרו מה זה שם בגדנו. He says Oz, because if all your tzaddikim let him say. It's interesting, it says Oz. So that this is the reason that even the great tzaddikim, I mean, there's a whole thing in Kisvei Arizal, Akam, or we say Al-Chet, say Al-Chet in Kippur, and even the big tzaddik also says Al-Chet. How can the big tzaddik say Al-Chet shechatan lefanecha? Tzaddik doesn't sin. I mean, maybe it's one that ain't tzaddik words, but it doesn't mean that there's such so many sins. So it says, why? Oz Meir Gilchan Oyer Atzmi, because in Kippur, Rosh and Kippur in general, that's a time when the Oyer Atzmi, the highest level of the oily key shines. Shelagabe Einet Tefes Makam Avesh Tzadikim Esek Gedolim. So, from his perspective, even the tzaddikim of even the bigger tzaddikim is not tefes mokem. It's like he said on top here on the page. Ein shamayim lezaku beino. Baloch lesim taholo. Shekosov we say actually as in davening for Rosh Hashanah. No living thing can be perfectly righteous in front of your eyes. Ela shali. So that's the point of saying the viduim. It's not clear. Viduim means Asham. It says Ashamna, but maybe it means Malchet. So when we say these things, when we say slichas, we say bring the gil b'tzarachmim, nim me'em b'tzarachmim. Our davening, our pakosha is mamsha from a higher level. The main level, there's gila lekus, which is the aber be'etzem in a hoz uzman gila ben sagbur v'alken adik debis. So this entire discussion from the top of the page till here is just to crystallize and clarify what is the concept of midas atzmi. Midas atzmi means v'tatis kalus. This is midas atzmi v'tati beis gvulei alachsen. Beis gvulei alachsen is the idea of iskalus, interconnection, combination. Mashenken midas atzmi means that it's pure. Chesed is pure chesed. There's no space for good. There's no space for shein eroi. But here now Maimer elaborate in the opposite direction. It's interesting. It's a Maimer of Parshat Bamidbar. So, like I said, Bashgacha Potis talks about the Yom Neroim. That Yom Neroim was a time of the ultimate Gvur, the ultimate Gvur, Gvur Atzmit. Say Gvur Atzmit means that it's extremely judgmental. So that's this entire discussion just to bring out the point. Nimtza is what we learn from what we just described about Chesed of Avram Avinu, Hillel Arvi, and the story of the Renesh. And we get to Gvura, the Yom Neroi. What does we learn from all this? Nimtza shechesed Gvura Atzmim. They're total opposites. Chesed means the expression, the Eibishter's expression and kindness is drawn everywhere. Even someone who does this. It's like Gvura means the ultimate prevention of kindness, prevention of being good. So so that is the way it describes in Amayim, but this is the way the midas are above Atzilus. So the midas above Atzilus, midas Atzmim, they're like, each one is extremely set in its own path and total opposite of the other one. So again, only now he says I already mentioned yesterday that the way he describes the Chesed and Gevurah, it sometimes reminds what we learned in this Sefer and a few Shechim in this Sefer, the from Toyu. In Elam Toyu, each midah, that's why there's Shver Zakenim. Each midah goes to its ultimate expression. So about Tzilus. In a set Tikkun, Sham das is Kalas. I mean, the word of Midas, in the word of Atzilus, these two opposites combine. Shows Kalas has Gvur B'Chesed. Chesed has Gvur within it. Gvur has Chesed. Ein plus Gvur B'Chesed. Now he describes. What is Gvur B'Chesed? I mean, Gvur B'Chesed sheep. I'm shoched. It's Pashas Mashum Tzad Chesed. Is a Chesed. Makom gave us a Gvur. That the Chesed has Gvur within it. That the Tzedakah Hamshach has a Chesed, but it reaches only b'makom ha'or, b'oifen ha'or, only the one who deserves it, and the way he can accept, he can get it. Eine machmas bos am meichen shpeine machliches ba mides, al kein eine Prozess zu gibes kolkach. Al kein im Chesed kol echad lefi ekabavedos. Says how does he brings in another point. Actually, if you remember earlier in the Sefer, there was a lot of alichas on this concept here. It says by the Kitzer that this entire concept of the Skalas Amidas, where does it come from? Really comes from the Moichin. We learned that also. That Moichin, just like in the human experience, when a person's intellect that creates self-control, like Tani, that mind controls the emotions, so that weakens, tames each emotion. So tells Chesed, don't go all the way till the end. You have to combine Gvura with it. It weakens the strength. Just like we say, the marshal, that a child who doesn't have Meichin is mature. When he gets emotional, is extreme. Like the Lashon Tani is Akot Mislai with Dvorim Ktanim. Not just Dvorim Ktanim. It's the idea that his emotions are uncontrollable. As a person becomes more mature, it means his mind is more in control. At that point, the midas become weaker. So that allows the midas to be scholars, to be combined with each other. That's what he says. That Machmas Pos am Meichen, Shepoinim Chalizma, again, any of us asking it gives the Meichen weaken the midas. That's why the midas are not in such full strength. So the midas tell the Meichen tell the midas that Chesed is a great thing, but it has to be balanced. That's everybody. The people have to get the makabel of the Chesed has to be taken into account. So man, it's only according to its level of ability to accept. Which because of Hashem Chesed, it brings a positive to prove this point. It says in positive, Vaya Chesed Kiata Sham Lish Kamaseyu. What does it mean? Chesed Kamaseyu. This is Pshash Nimshach. It's like it's a chesed from you. So that's the end of Gvur Shebechesed. The chesed, when he says chesed atzmi is even the person doesn't deserve. He didn't bring it earlier, but here he says it more. Because it says the famous Gemara that Chaynia Magal, he asked for rain, and then the rain was so strong. It says with too much rain is also not good. So it has to be measured. So that's the idea that the chesed is tamed and limited and weakened by the Gvur. That's Gvur Shebechesed. And that's the same things in the mirror image, the opposite. We said earlier, what is Gvur? Gvur is Edois Pashtus, that aspect of Likus shows that he's above everything. Nothing is Tefes Mokim. So even the biggest tzaddik it's an Avera. So from that perspective, the Gvur will be so strong that nobody's going to get anything. So that's why we need Chesed Gvur. Come here, it's a Chesed. It's a Chesed within the Gvur. Tefes Mokim. So that's the way that Gvur affects Chesed, and Chesed affects Gvur. Gvur affects Chesed. The Chesed is only Misharoi. The Chesed affects Gvur that we don't. You're not that strict. That a tzaddik is looked upon in a positive way. You don't say that he's voteless. He needs the Chesed weakens the effect of the Gvur. Then he says another point, so what we said now, that's an interesting, I mean, we learned it also on one, I remember one of my mother on the Sefer. This is the way one affects the other. But then, in other words, the Chesed, then there's another point, that the Chesed itself, the Gvur itself is a different type. What does it say? That means that they actually combine in a way that each of them performs the function of the opposite of the other. So it brings it to a few masharim. Not only is the Gvur limited by the Chesed, it's also the Gvur, the point, the intent and the function and the ultimate goal of the Gvur is actually to be Chesed. Commercial, the marshal of that is Ava Miyasa is like the person, father punishes his child in order he should behave. Shanoga Gvur. So the Anog itself, the action of the father is Gvur. It's judgment, it's punishment. Miyasa is B'nai. But really, what's hidden there is really Chesed. So we see that the Chesed and Gvur are interconnected. That the Chesed Gvur itself is really an act of Chesed. Somebody who prevents his punishment from his child is really an expression of hatred. The child love, a father loves his child. He's the one that gives him punishment. The fact that he punishes him is an expression of his love, because its ultimate goal is the good, the benefit the child. If he lacks in chesed, if he lacks in ava, then he doesn't punish him. In case so that's a deeper way of chesed. Not only, like we said earlier, that the gevurah limits the chesed. Really? Okay. These things are a little fluid, so he calls it gevurah shebachesed. Maybe gevurah shebachesed is eina. Oh, maybe that's the second. Eina yes. Component in then there's the opposite. It's an act of goodness, and the result is the goal is the opposite. The goal is to be judgmental. The goal is to punish. It says in Pasuk, he pays his enemies. He pays them, means he gives chesed. But the goal of the payment is to destroy it. What the mean is? Shav shemishalem. Shav shemishalem. He paid the Einish is not made as a chesed, but tachlis Allah vida. So I think Rashi says pshat that the Eibishter gives a showing the schar, but they should get the real punishment. So the schar is really a function of gvur. So there's a chesed, but it's really this gvur behind. A chesed, see, we're going to pen pasuk. One second. So there's a pasuk to. One second. So I think Mishle. The pasuk in Mishle goes like this. It's an interesting pasuk. Imroi pasuk in Mishle Perek Chafei pasuk Chafal Chaveis. Imroi seinecha chilei lechem. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. He's thirsty, give him water. What's meant this? Because we need, by doing that, okay, there's a few short in here, but let's see. I think it means, let's see the way it says shot here. There's a few in one of these psukim that have more than one pshat. But basically what it says here is that sometimes when you give your enemy you do your enemy a favor, it really hurts him when you do a favor. Why? I think that's what I'm looking at the fortunes. In our mind, it doesn't say what. It just means the person. So I see in the fortune the same shot. If somebody is an enemy, he doesn't want to be. It hurts him that he needs your help. It bothers him. So he's really your enemy. He hates you. He doesn't want you. So by being nice to him, you're hurting him. So, okay. It's a concept that the Siddur doesn't talk a lot about. It's more for a Muslim type of approach, but so that is the point. So the giving. Let's see what Rashi says. Rashi brings.
I'm not following the concept. So why helping him? You're hurting. Not clear on.
What's not clear? What's clear is that when a person is when a person hates the other, he doesn't want It bothers him that he needs you. He hates you. He doesn't want your favors. But he's hungry, he must eat, so you give him food. So you give him food, which is a good act, but the intention is to make him feel bad, to make him feel that he needs you, which makes him hurts him. It's really it makes him feel what?
Yeah, Mr. him, yeah, he hurts him,
Yeah,
but Mr. us doesn't. It's just being, I don't
no,
know,
okay,
sometimes.
look, you're talking the way. Oh, okay. And when so does David says it embarrasses him. So he's the one who hurt you, and you go and do good to him. When you pay, when you shan teva tachas ro, so that makes them a kabel. Makes them a kabel. Embarrasses it.
I'm not sure if it applies these days. Nobody's
Okay. Look, we're not talking. We're talking a concept here. We're not talking reality now. We're talking a concept. What it means in the real life, I'm not sure if it works. I mean, we can imagine. In theory, you can imagine. In other words, we're talking about a seine. Look, we're talking about the fact that usually we say we should know that all kinds of seine is not really encouraged in Chazal, right? But you have to love everybody. But we say in theoretical situation, if somebody is a seine, see that the pasuk, according to this pshat, the pasuk tells you how do you hurt him? You hurt him by being good to him. It hurts him even more if you don't give him food. So obviously he doesn't have food. But if you give him food, it hurts him even more because he feels embarrassed that he's the one who hurt you yesterday, and you instead giving him a good to him. So, but according to the pshat in this Bible, it's basically the act of goodness is not to be nice; it's to hurt them more. Which again, it's not a statement of Musa. It's not a statement how we have to behave. It just says, according to this pshat. I mean, there's a lot more pshat in this post. According to the pshat, the way in the Almaimo, it's one of, like I said, it's one of the fortune, one of the understandings of. The Al-Baq says it very clearly that he actually the funny thing is the pasuk says Vashem Ishalem Loch, which is like a combination. On one hand, you're doing something that to hurt him, you make him feel good. To hurt him, he should be upset, he should be embarrassed. But Hashem will pay you for that you were good to him. I don't know. So the Hashem Ishalem Loch part doesn't fit in our scheme. But we have to just take out the point. We see a point that sometimes being good to someone really inherently it's really hurting the other one, right? So the first example was if you don't punish your child, if you're being nice to your child, if you spoil your child, so you think, oh, he did a great thing, but the truth is you're hurting him because of that he's not gonna mature. So that's an example which we can relate to more. Then the opposite is that that you hurt him, also hurt him by being good to him. He's your enemy. He hates you, and you being good to him, so that hurts him. That's it's a good example.
They're both being good.
Yeah, they're both being good, but the inner meaning, the inner goal is the opposite. It's to hurt him. So that's an example of Iskalus V'Chesed. Yes, oitness Iskalus. Then there's a third level of Iskalus. We learned that a few times in this sefer, and I think in others form also. Sometimes the both acts of good and bad, of kindness and judgment are in the same act. This is the Gemara we already had so many times. Which does have pasuk Basha Mishpat is Shampa Basha Mishpat Paul is a pasuk Basha pasuk 1 second. That's a pasuk in Sfania Basha Mishpat Paul. Rashi says and the pasuk the Rebbe is the Rebbe in the Maimer is mighty pasuk kap is a lashon of Rashi. Rashi in Gemara. The Gemara says in Yevamos. The pasuk says in Sfania Hashem Mishpate Paole. Zog Rashi Paolu. Hashem Mishpate Paole. Dosh Rish Lakish Ba'ashem Mishpate Sham Paole. Says Rashi B'mokem Shedonim Ha'adam Sham Maskirim Poel Tzidkaisim. In the place that you when you judge him, that's when you remember his miles. Okay, it doesn't bring this whole idea. It's not you have the story with Shaul Levi Koyanim. So what's the Gemara? Let's see. Yeah, that's the Gemara in Yevamos. I get that when the master they said something negative about Shaul, he said something positive about us. That's another example of Chesed and Gvura together. Then there's a third dogma, another dogma, which is also we had to feed my mom in the Sefer. We also see the combination of two opposites. The Ksiv, Alapi, but the Beis Hamikdash says two opposite things. It says in Pasuk, Alapi val Chamotzi oisa hayir azois me'ozi vosto. The Rebbe says that here the Yerushalayim, Beis Hamikdash was Alapi val Chamotzi. It was angering him, which means Gvur. Makom Gamar Azal. B'yom Simchas Libo ze b'nei Beis Hamikdash. Shoyer Sham Kiddush Shechina B'nei Ma'anav. So it's okay. It's another example how in the same place, in the same experience, we have two opposites. We have the Simchas Liboy, the Chesed, the Gilui Likus, and at the same time, Api Val Chamasi. That was there's Gvur. Arzel, okay, now he goes. He says something interesting. Actually, when we learned it in other Maimon, we didn't have that point. But here he says that the furthest, the most radical, the most extreme expression of the Skal Chesed Gvura, like we said in the last two examples, Mishpasha, Mishpata, Shampa'ol, and the Yerushalayim, that's Api V'Chamasi and the Emchas Simchas Liboy. This is, he says, that's already the ultimate Iskal. That comes from that means a Tiferes. So Tiferes combines Chesed and Gvura. So we say like this to summarize. He brought a few dogmas. He started talking about how the Chesed and Gvura, the way it is Lifnei, and Pavatzilus, and Elam HaTorah, each one is extreme in its own path. It doesn't allow anything of the opposite. Chesed does not work, but not Chesed. But in Atzilus, Nelam HaTikun, we do see combinations, and he brought various examples of the combinations. As Chesed Shavur and Rosh Chesed. Until the ultimate combination is, and the mamish, the same act, those two opposites. That comes from Tiferes. Okay. So this entire experience is also defined the Avodas Hashem. What is it? So what we described earlier, the two general stages in the midas. There's the Etzem Amida and there's the Iskalus Amida, which is the lower grade where they can combine each other. We find this also in Avodas Hashem. What is Chesed in Gvur and Avodas Hashem? Ava and Ir. Chesed is the energy, the mode of love and kindness. Gvur is Ir, the opposite. It's fear, awe, judgment. Judgment is not the gay. We're talking about Avodas Hashem. Avodas Hashem, Chesed is Avas Hashem, and Gvur is Ir Hashem. She'em be'etzem hafachim zamizeh. Really, these two states of these two feelings, these two states of being are really total opposites. In an Ahava, the concept of love is that your nefesh, your soul, is expressed and revealed and expanded. That's something that's Shiur with Vekas Nalikus. When talking about Avodas Hashem, we're talking about Avas Hashem and Hiras Hashem. So what is the nefesh? Is in a state of expansion and extend in a way that it wants to get closer to the Eibishter. Shiur with Vekas, closer and cleaving to the Eibishter. How do we reach? That's what Tanya talks about. How do we reach this feeling of Ava? The ultimate way, that is through Isbainan and Kiras Hashem. We understand and we contemplate. And the Eivishter's energy is close to us. It's invested in us, it's hidden within us to give us life. That says in Pasuk that Shame is just like the soul in our own personal experience. We feel that the body, that the soul enlivens, gives life to the body. Similarly, is also and he feels that the early kid, the godly energy, the godly light, gives him life, gives him spiritual life. Person contemplates and invests his mind into a very strong connection. So then his soul will cleave to the Eibishter. So that brings Ava. This is brings Ava. He wants to. When you contemplate that great, the Eibishter wants you to connect. You want to connect to it. You want to be connected. That's one example of contemplation. That contemplation is personal life. You feel I have a neshama, and I also have the Eibishter gives me kayach. So that wants me to connect to the Eibishter. What makes me want to connect to the Eibishter. The more general type of contemplation, more general. There's a general early kiss. The whole world is created to the early kiss. That's what we say in davening. The hamshoch is ziv va'ar, and we misbein the hamshoch likis is only from ziv va'ar, only a ray. That's because anybody like ziv va'ar providing flash the lashes. But feel even the early kids is also shleimer after the moshe klein nefesh hoch the guf gash mishein oyer there. Just like in our personal experience, and the shama is a spiritual entity. The body is a material, physical entity, and the shleiber, totally different planes, different types of beings. and the Mikonik was lavish Bofachis, and then the Shama is invested and exploded in the body to give it life. So that's the Isbainus. The more general Isbainus. So I see the nuances here. What type of Isbainus? Second Isbainus is more general. The world in general is Makabal Eliki. While Cain is passionate and nefesh melvashel, the result of this is that the nefesh, the neshama, wants to take off the levushim, take off the things that cover. Shaloi tachlish from tiny gash became the call of Hashem L'Davka Beisbal. So the only thing the neshama to this is bonus, the neshama reaches an emotional state that it doesn't want anything but connecting to the Eibush himself. The call there. So these two stages in spine, it's called the Prasav Chitzani Slavat. This is really an external type of Abbas Hashem. A bomb is Banis Valley Kam Chai Sailem Bichal Barisa Bifat. Like we said, this is the Abbas, a result of the contemplation where the Abish was creating the world and gives life to the world, and also is in him, like I said before, individual. There's a deeper and more internal type of Ava. When you contemplate in the another aspect of the Eibishter, of the way the Eibishter relates to the world, not the fact that he gives us life, the opposite, the fact that he himself is a way above it. Atmos is moved the moment in case. The Eibishter himself is way removed from any connection to this world. Because of God, the Eibishter's greatness is impossible to reach. It's another shot in this bus. God, that's what we reach in our we feel experience is greatness. The lost side is real greatness. It's impossible to shame by Shem because it's above any changes and division. Because when I shame by Shem it doesn't have any changes. The Eibush himself does not is even equal before the world is created, after the world is created, because it's not affected by it. The entire life force in the elements is only an external expression. The Shem Havaya needs to go to the Shem Havaya itself needs to go to the Shmoy, it says in Pasuk, in Nizgo Shmel Havada, Koyal Shem Havaya Deliyul. It means the Shem Havaya, which was mentioned in the Pasuk earlier, Ya'al is Shem Havaya, Nizgo Shmel Havada. Ugamken Me'umam Me'uvada. He is lofty and removed and above. Only the external ray and glory is of his name is in Eretz V'Shamayim. Shemachlal in Eretz V'Shamayim, Shamayim v'Eretz close to Eretz Shtashlos. Shalanim Shamayim Achmin Aziva Al-Bavad. Eretz V'Shamayim means you're not just the physical heaven and earth. It means the entire Shtashlos. You should call Shalanim Shamayim, the entire Shtashlos only gets from the Eibush to Ziva Al-Bavad. Weit sagt er, wenn ich gasse, wenn ihr schon die Achen Ballade in der Kim. Was meint das? Anir ist in keinem Stabs. Wenn die Achen in der Achen Stabs, nur noch leben, schenkt ihr mal den Shiur. Mit Ballade in der Kim, eine Benzise, der Haus der Schass, einfach sie war. So he brings in this pasuk. Okay, we all say the pasuk earlier this sefer that what he brings out, the way it touches Ballade in der Kim means that Ani Rishon, that's the Eibush the way he is himself. Not the Gil, here, the Etz. And Ani Achen also the Etz. After Lacha Kalesh Tash. And Balada means in the middle. But there's also there's nothing there. There's no I'm not sure how, I forgot how to express the words Enelikim. But that's the point. In Cain Ephoi, they call it about the bathroom and mitzvah. So this is beinus. Everything else that the Eibishter itself is above, and relation is above any relation to elements, that itself creates also a feeling of Abba Pnimis, Shadtim Agnosis, to be consumed by the essence of the Amit. There's another Isbainis. And that's another Isbainis. That's beginning Krevis and Shamas Yisrael, Hashem Avayim Ramsh. When it is Isbainis, we, the Eden, have a unique relationship with the Eibishter. The Eibishter is closer to us than to anything else. Mishkos Meta Shabbat. A pasuk Asher Lo Elokim Koyim Elov. Says in pasuk, Mi Goy God Asher Lo Elokim Koyim Elov. Who is the great nation that has the Eibishter who's close to them? Kashem Elokeinu Chol Karein Elov. That's a pasuk in Rosh Says the Medrash, an interesting point. Who korev Elov like ein ksif kan ela lekim korev Elov. V'hainu sheneshamas Yisrael korev le'etzem shem Havai. Interesting. What's my this? Interesting Medrash. Let's look at the Medrash. So the Medrash says this. I think that the deal in the Medrash is it says Ashaloi Elokim Koyim Elov. The Eibishter is close to us. It should have said that we are close to him. Why does it say he's close to us? I think that's the problem in the Medrash. I'm looking at the Medrash here, but the Dvarim Rabbah. The Medrash says like this: that when a person is a mashal, since it's a mashal, you have a very rich relative, right? That's the Medrash says. If you have a rich relative, you say, "Yeah, he's my relative." That's according to this Medrash. It's I don't know. If the person can have a rich relative and a poor relative. So if he has a rich relative, he says, "Yeah, I'm his relative." If he has a poor relative, he says, "No, I don't know." So from that perspective, he says, should have said, God Ashel Korev El Elikim. In other words, you should be proud that you are his Korev, not his Korev. He is your relative. You are his relative. All right? So that's what the Medrash says. Aval Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's it says. In the normal world, the way it works should have said, to say that so I said, mi godel asher korev elov. Who korev elov? That the guy is korev to the Eibishter, not the Eibishter is korev. In other words, the mila should be the mila of in other words, the Eden should be proud that they are the Eibishter is korev, not that he is their korev. So says the Medrash. Kadosh Baruch Ois. That's the lashon of Kadosh Baruch Kaviyachol Ois El Yisrael Iker. Ashaloi Goy Korev Leiksiv Kan Ashaloi Leikim Korev Imen. think that's the medrash that he means. So what he's saying? So that's the medrash. But now my works is he has a lomdas in the medrash. V'aynish and the shamas eson koyim la'etzim shem avay. How's that? How's that reflected in the Maimon, in this medrash exactly? I think we can say it's written very, very cryptically. We can say pshatlach here that the fact that the Rebbe Kviyach is proud to be our Korev, he's proud to be our Korev, not that we are proud to be his Korev. He's proud to be our Korev, Elikim Korevim Elov. That shows that we are even higher. Maybe that's pshat. Because I'm saying maybe I have to look up another sources maybe that we are higher.
What's the Rosh Hashanah's Aleph Chav Chav?
Ein ksif kan.
Thank you.
Ein ksif kan doesn't say that we are his. No, like we say, he's you. When you say someone, he's my colleague. So you usually say, "Oh, this great guy, he's my colleague," right? So the truth is, it's not. In other words, in our language, it doesn't necessarily work that way. You can say he's. It makes more sense to say I'm his colleague. Yeah, you say, "Oh, this I'm his colleague." No, it's my that I'm his colleague. He's such a great person. I'm his colleague, right? But you say he's my colleague, Kaviyachol. It's a mile in him that he's my colleague. That's what Medrash asks. Should have say Ashaloi Kim Medrash should say Ashaloi Goy Kolev Elam. That we are his colleague, that he is our colleague. Sounds like that sounds like it's a mile of he has a mile that he's our colleague. So I think maybe pshat, maybe it's a very kitzur. The Elikim Koyim Elo. The Shamis are higher. They are Shem Havai. He's only in Shem Elikim. Maybe that's pshat. Okay. So, it's an interesting medrash and it's an interesting pshat in medrash. Okay, but I'll send you the medrash on WhatsApp. Look it up yourself if you want. Okay, so this is interesting. This is all part of this Beinanus you see in Tanya. If you remember, in Tanya, there's a whole parak also in Tanya. In Tanya, it talks about one of these Beinanus and talks in Tanya about also that the Rebishto is nice to us. He took us out of Mitzrayim, etc., etc. And in Tanya, so that's what it talks there. Here and then, our Maimon, he talks much deeper, a much deeper way. He says that we have misbeinen how close we are to Shem Havai Mamish. You know, it's like a Bavalikim. These beinen are some connection. Mishav Kotzel, other parts of Livnei Sol Am Koiven, Koil Shem Havai. Yeah. So basically, the point is Shem Havai, that we are connected to Shem Havai. The Shem, the Koil Shem, the Sol Koiven, also Shem Havai. It says earlier, yes, the pasuk before. Kinis of Shmuel Levadoi, Yal Shem Havai. At the same time, it says Bnei Sol Koiven, who Koiven, who Koiven Havai. Shem Elikim Alamis Vashes Baim Vasachis. Shem Havai Lamalim Alamis Vashes Baim. Shem Yisrael Madrega Zu. So the Shem Yisrael connected to Havai, to the Bavalikim. There's another pasuk that we say everything in Brachos, in Shema Yisrael, Havai Elokeinu, Shavayet, or Kashalon. So that's another point. The point is that we have a direct connection to Shem Havai. Or Mikol Shekain, that's Stam. Mikol Shekain, especially al Dekim Teru Mitzvahs. So the Shabbos is all on their own are connected to Shem Havai, especially to Kim of Teru Mitzvahs, Shesab Oidios. So we have the direct connection to the Shem Havai, Bichlal. Then we have even a higher level that we connect to the Etzem. You have to get Shem Havai. I'm sorry, to Torah mitzvah to connect even higher to Shem Havai. So this is as a nas of Ava Krish Beish. So when you contemplate that point, the Ava is even stronger. Before we spoke about Ava of first Ava Chitzonius, then Ava Pnimis. But this is even a deeper level of Ava. Ava Rava Krish Beish. When we contemplate about connection to the Eibush, Shem Havai is above Shem Havai, especially the mitzvah, that creates an alpha, even a stronger feeling. You don't want anything physical, you don't want anything spiritual. You want to connect direct to the Eibush. So that's expressed in this pasuk. You remember the famous the Alter Rebbe used to say, but here it says pshat in the pasuk. So that is the ultimate Ava. So that level of kol that my heart is expiring and losing itself. So that we see that level of bittul. We also see in the bittul of malachim that called sof. What do we see? It says that the sofim say kodesh, kodesh, kodesh Hashem tzvois. What's my pir Hashem tzvois? What does Hashem tzvois mean? Called sivei tzvois aliyonim. It's our Hashem Hashem. Mishom. אבל עצם שם הוויה הקודש הוא מובדומה. ועל כן הם תאבים לאלס לעצם שם הוויה הקודש הוא מובדומה. The tzvois are removed from Havai, and they say Kodesh, they say he's removed from us. Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh. This one the reason they call Strofim because they burn down. From this extreme feeling of love, fiery love. Feeling but the truth is, he says that's malach idna ayaleh. Shem koyim l'shem havai. Idna not like malachim. Idna koyim l'shem havai, like we just said. Spirish kodesh Hashem tzvois and a shavai tzvois. When he even say kodesh Hashem tzvois, it means something else. Okay, we know this neshama is the soul part. It's starting. I know a little bit. No discussion here, so we'll continue after Rosh Hashanah. I think some Gadari will continue. All right.
Thank you. A good bench.
For everything. R'Dovid, thank you very much for the sacrifices and Mr. Nefesh that you
thank you.
give up everything. Everybody,